state energy program, that's probably where we see the most variety of funds that we're receiving. This is just a very simple, I guess, illustration of the funds that are coming to the energy program. Broken down. Oh. What happened? It's recorded. Okay. So the numbers. Okay, all right. So the bipartisan infrastructure law funding that we're getting, right now we have 4 programs that we know of that is coming to the state energy office. Now there's a lot more money out there that are released on a competitive basis, so we are interested in partnering with folks if they're interested in going after some of that money. But this is the list of funding that's definitely coming to us because we are the state energy office in Missouri. So $7.9 million, that's on top of the base that we get for the state energy program. We use that funding to do some of the ongoing initiatives that we as a state have identified. Workforce development is a component of that money. Grid resiliency is $14 million that goes towards improving the grid with upgraded transmission lines, upgrading various aspects of the grid. That's $14 million. We already have appropriations authority for that money, and we do expect, that's probably the one that's closest to being open for an application period. We do expect to open that application period sometime early 24. It's 23 right now, right? Yeah, so 24. The energy efficiency and conservation block grant money is $2.4 million. So those communities that did receive their own pot of money under the block grant, we are charged with distributing the $2.4 million to communities who need it. So we are in the process of putting that program together as well, where that probably is not as far along, and so that I can tell you when an application period would be, but we do expect that to be open sometime in 2024. Energy efficiency revolving loan fund capitalization grant program, and these titles are just super long, and I don't know why, but I can't actually see the number here. $9 million. That's another program that will be coming from our division. And then, of course, the Inflation Reduction Act funding. I think that's the one that's got most press because it probably will affect the most people. It's 2 home energy efficiency rebates programs that are kind of clumped into one. So I typically say $150 million in rebate money. We are very, very early in that process in developing a program. But I will say that we do have some appropriations authority, so we already have the green light from the legislature to start working on this program. And that some of the other surrounding states are diligently working as well to get these programs out the door. So we aren't far behind, and we do expect to have some information on that. I would say if you're interested in knowing more information, go to our website and click on that green box to get updates, and we do plan on sending out email blasts so that people know when to expect information. The last thing that I have on this slide is the contractor training grants. It's $2.7 million. Again, focus on workforce development. The key thing about all of these grants is DOE has put a component of workforce development in all of the grants so that we are building our workforce and being able to get people who are able to fill these jobs. I have one more slide. Josh.
I apologize for that. I had a question. You had mentioned you were developing programs for the home energy efficiency programs. Are you all doing that for the appliance rebate? Has that been determined that program is going to go through your office?
Yes, yeah. So the $150 million is 2 prong program, and one is focused on home energy efficiency, like a whole house energy efficiency program, and then one is on appliance rebates. And I kind of lump it into one program, and that probably all get launched at the same time. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
In regards to the increased funding for weatherization program across the state, will you also potentially help support the community action agencies by providing more funding for them to have increased staffing? I know they're all short-staffed and really pressed to process the applications for assistance in the weatherization. So that would be greatly needed. If possible.
And that's, I think that's part of the overall problem is that, you know, even if we give them extra funding to get more workers, there just aren't the workers out there that they need. So we're helping them in as much as, or we're trying to help them in as much as they can find workers and also keep workers that are trained. And so, yeah, I guess the general answer is yes. We have not actually had an opportunity to like have a distinct plan in place for all the agencies, but we are having those conversations definitely. This is just a quick slide. You know, we're not tax professionals and we're not offering any tax advice. The main point of this slide is to show that entities who are taking advantage of these tax incentives get a higher tax incentive if they are using apprenticeship or meeting the apprenticeship requirements. So again, workforce development component in every aspect of DOE's money. So we want to be there providing those services to folks so that they can take advantage of some of the tax incentives that are out there. So I want to turn it over
Can I ask a question on the last slide? What will be the enforcement mechanism making sure that the prevailing wage in the apprenticeship program requirements are being met?
So I don't know if I can answer that question. These are taxes except I know what I'm talking about. Incentives that are out there for people who want to take advantage of it. This is really kind of outside the scope of what we're doing in the work that the division is doing. But you know, I pull this up as an example of if you are interested in taking advantage of these tax incentives. You know, these are some of the considerations that you should think about. I want to turn it over to Tracy Wilfong, who is part of our planning unit and our lead for workforce development, because we do have a lot of things going on under the Inflation Reduction Act and under the BIL as far as the monies that we're spending and how we're spending it to advance workforce development in Missouri. So,
good morning.
Good morning.
As Director Wilbur said, I am with the planning unit, part of the State Energy Office, and my focus is on workforce development and education primarily. I don't know how many details and specifics I'm going to be able to go into today, but I'm going to tell you a little about, just in general, some of the things that we are working on in the division. We know that BIL and IRA brought a lot of attention to workforce development. Almost everything coming out has some kind of component to it that deals with workforce development. The tax incentives for sure, the rebates, the energy efficiency improvements, and then of course training and work-based learning is a part of a lot of these funding opportunities. And this is new ground for the Division of Energy. We've never really had a presence in workforce development before. We recognize how important this is and how much emphasis is being placed on this. So we're very willing to learn. We know we're not the workforce development experts, but we are very willing to learn, and we are trying to build those relationships with people who are the experts in workforce development. A couple of the things we're talking about is how can we help Missouri? Someone asked us this morning about which sector are we looking at? Simply because we house the weatherization program, that is something that we have been spending some of our time on and thinking about weatherization, the community action agencies and how to help them. But really, we're looking at two different things. It's kind of like the two-pronged approach here. Upskilling and reskilling to meet that immediate need, the things that are coming now or very quickly. And then we're also putting a little bit of time into how do we build that pipeline for the future. So we're looking at how can we support education, STEM education. And one of the keystone, we really think is a keystone is this new, or the emphasis of the energy career cluster. I really think that's going to be a keystone for a lot of other things falling into place. Is if we can get education to recognize energy as its own career cluster, a lot more emphasis can be directed toward education, and how do we get the next generation involved in energy careers. So some exciting things going on there. So if we look at the first priority area, the imminent demand spike, we know there's a need now, there's going to be a need in the next few years with some of this funding coming down. So we are really looking to lend our voice, trying to make some of these connections. We know there are a lot of great efforts being made across Missouri right now. We know that, and it's simply trying to build a network and get other people to realize that there are a lot of great efforts in a lot of different parts of the state. And how do we connect people, and how do we work on finding collaborations, and how can we all put all of our work together to make Missouri better and ready now and ready for the future. So a lot of things we're doing, we're participating in state and national workforce development groups. If you're not familiar with the Missouri Energy Workforce Consortium, that is a group that we have gotten involved with recently. There's also the Center for Energy Workforce Development. That is a national group out there that's doing a lot of work with careers in energy. They have veterans programs. They're also looking at the career cluster in energy. We are exploring opportunities with educators and training providers. We've talked to a lot of people across the state, a lot of different educators. We're also working with other state agencies. So right now it's a lot of exploration. We're trying to build those relationships, make connections, trying to find who else is working on these things, and how do we build that network and build these collaborations. Some specific things when we talk about upskilling and reskilling, one thing that we are looking at is the apprenticeship model for a weatherization program. We know there's at least one community action agency that has apprenticeships already in place, and we are encouraging and trying to persuade the other community action agencies to follow that model and to work with apprenticeships, and not just on the technical side of weatherization, but also on the procedural side. You know, apprenticeships is growing. Missouri is a leader in apprenticeships, you know, in the country, and apprenticeships are being used in a lot of ways that is not through the traditional apprenticeships. In fact, we are trying to explore right now, can we have an apprentice in our division on the weatherization side to learn about the weatherization program? So we want to be able to practice what we're preaching. We're trying to encourage people to use the apprenticeships, but we also want to show that we believe in this model enough that we're going to use it in the division as well. So those are that's one specific thing. Currently, we are working with the Office of Workforce Development, specifically on the contractor training grants or the training for residential energy contractors, whatever name it's going under right now. So we're working with the Office of Workforce Development to kind of use the framework they already have in place with eligible training providers, trying to make this available across the state. So those are some of the specific things we're working on. And as Emily talked about, this money is coming down for these rebates, and we need the workforce there to be able to perform these improvements and install the equipment. So how do we make sure the workforce is there when this money comes out and we can actually get the work done? So priority 2, supporting the careers in energy. Some of the things we're doing is looking at K-12 materials. We're very limited. We've worked on a few things. We've done some activity placements. If you think about the placements you see at restaurants for kids with activities, we've actually put together one about the different energy resources in Missouri. But we're wanting to do a couple more, one about careers in energy, one about energy efficiency. We're kind of aiming those at like middle school, 5th, 6th grade. Because if you think about it, as our workforce is getting older, if you want an engineer 10 years from now, you need to be talking to somebody who's in 5th or 6th grade to get them ready for these openings that are going to be coming up. So how do we get the information out there younger and younger, just to expose the next generation to this? These are our future workforce, these are our future customers, they're our future policymakers. How do we teach them now about energy and what's coming with energy? We've looked at doing modules like the high school personal finance course that all high school students have to take. How do we introduce them to things like how to read your utility bill? You know, if you're looking at an electric vehicle, what do you need to know before you go out and purchase an electric vehicle? That kind of information. Another thing we've done is participate in career exploration and showcases. Is anybody here familiar with Build My Future? If you're not familiar with Build My Future, go look at their website. It is a career exploration. It's targeting construction jobs. But what we've done is taken our House of Pressure and talk about basically building science and the home system, how the systems work together, and energy efficiency. We participated in 5 events across the state this year and got a chance to talk to over 11,500 students at these events. So it's high school students coming in, it's very hands-on, it's very interactive. They can operate heavy equipment, they can build walls, they can do pipe fitting, just lots and lots of different activities for these students to just make them aware of some of these careers that are out there. Again, we're working, I talked a little bit about this, working to bring awareness to that energy career cluster. That is something that we're focusing on as well. And I know I'm about out of time, but Division of Energy is really starting to put an emphasis on workforce development and how can we support some of the work that's going on around the state to build that skilled energy workforce for Missouri. Yes, ma'am.
The Build My Future, what's the website? I just tried to find it and I didn't.
If you Google Build My Future, but it's some of it is
B-I-L-L or E-U-I-L?
Build. Sorry, I have a Southeast Missouri accent. It's Build My Future. It's a construction showcase. So Associated General Contractors and then the Home Building Association, they also have events. It is a really cool event. It's chaos. Each event has close to 2,000 high school students that come in and spend the day.
Increase in students going into that field, if they measure the efficacy of it?
I don't know. I really don't know. This is the first year we've really participated in it. Last year, we were kind of marginally involved and did some volunteering just to get to know the event a little bit. I know there's one here in St. Louis, there's one in St. Charles, but there are others around the state as well. Any other questions? If you're interested, like I said, we're still in the exploration stage. We're going to, build these networks. Come talk to us, email us, call us. Come see us. We really want Missouri to be successful.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Fantastic information. Here's some contact information for them as well, both the website and email address, and they'll be around, so check them out.